Have you ever felt?
Are you listening? Damn. Yeah.
Hello, Be Tactful family. This is Anastasia coming at you today. I'm talking about a subject that's very near and dear to my heart and also very serious to a lot of people in society. Today I will be talking about Asperger Syndrome. Asperger Syndrome is a form of autism, and it's on the high functioning spectrum of autism. For those of you who may not know what that means, autism has a spectrum, and you have the high functioning side of autism and you have the low functioning side. I'm going to concentrate more on Asperger Syndrome, as this condition again is near and dear to my heart. Asperger Syndrome was actually named after Hans Asperger in 1944. He was the very first person to be diagnosed with the disorder. Society calls it a disorder. I don't know if it's considered a disorder. Maybe there should be another word used to describe it. I don't know if I necessarily call it a disorder. But he was the first person who was diagnosed with it back in 1944, hence Asperger's Syndrome.
Right now, there is no known cause of Asperger's Syndrome or even autism. We don't know if it's something that's environmental, something in the air. We don't know if it's immunization shots. For a while, they said maybe the shots that the children get when they're younger somehow attribute to a child being autistic or diagnosed as being autistic later. So there's no known cause of autism. It's just maybe something that children are born with, and they're still investigating what could possibly cause children to be born autistic. As of now, we don't know.
Some of the symptoms of Asperger's Syndrome are poor social skills, repetitive behaviors, unusual preoccupations or rituals, limited range of interest, and very skilled or talented in one or more areas. Now, the reason why I always say that Asperger's Syndrome is near and dear to me is because I have a 14-year-old son who was diagnosed with Asperger's at a young age. There were behaviors that he was exhibiting, and his teachers would notice these behaviors and brought those to our attention. The more attention I paid to my son, I started seeing the behaviors that she was seeing daily, and I said, wow, this is really something that we need, we meaning me and my husband, this is really something that we need to look into and have our son checked for it. So again, we took him, he was evaluated, and he actually did end up getting the diagnosis. If you have a child who may display some of those behaviors where they are preoccupied with certain rituals, if they are strict on certain schedules, it has to be this way every single day. If you notice that they have difficulty communicating with other children, or that they don't communicate with other children, if you notice that your child isn't walking as fast or isn't talking or speaking as quickly as a child should, these are all possible indications that the child may have Asperger or maybe some form of autism. So please don't do what I did and overlook it. Please have your child evaluated to see if that could possibly be what's going on, because the sooner you can detect it, the sooner you can have the child placed into therapy so that they can help, so that they can deal with the situation better. It doesn't go away. It has no cure, and it seems to, for some reason, occur more in males than females.
Now, my son is talented. He can draw. He draws very well. He can draw anything from Sonic to his own characters, to Looney Tunes characters, to video games characters. Oh, he's very, very talented. So that is also one of the characteristic traits of a child who has Asperger's Syndrome, or a child who's on the autistic spectrum.
There's a term that's used called an Aspie, and an Aspie is someone who has been diagnosed with Asperger's. Now, I was online and I said, I wonder who else out there may be an Aspie, or who may share this social disorder with my son. And I came across some very interesting names. I came across names like Dan Aykroyd, Great actor, played in Ghostbusters and the Blues Brothers, and I believe he even played in the James Brown movie, Get On Up, when it was out. So Dan Aykroyd, Daryl Hannah, she was an actress more in the 80s. She did this movie called Splash that I remember so well. There's this singer named Gary Newman. Now, if you're an 80s baby like me, well, I'm actually a 70s baby. Ooh, did I say that? If you watched MTV in the 80s like I did, then you'll know who Gary Newman is. Gary Newman did that song called Cars. I'm not going to dare sing it. You got to YouTube it. It's called Cars by Gary Newman. He's supposed to be someone who was diagnosed with Asperger's. Now, I visited a website. It's called disabled-world.com, and it had a list of people who supposedly or that possibly have Asperger's. They have not necessarily been diagnosed with it, but they display some of the behaviors of an Aspie. And those names were Abraham Lincoln, Thomas Edison, Thomas Jefferson, Wolfgang Amadeus Mozart. Are you serious? Bill Gates. Wow. You know, Aspies are in some really good company here. Robin Williams, James Taylor, popular singer. The list goes on. And I was like, wow. And all of these Aspies have really contributed a lot to society and have made society a better place. So if your child is diagnosed with Asperger's syndrome, please don't think it's the end of the world. They can be wonderful, beautiful, productive members of society. And even if they're not a Wolfgang Amadeus Mozart, or if they're not a Bill Gates, they are still your child. And my heart goes out to you. I'm a mother of an Aspie, and he's the greatest thing that's ever happened to me. So Asperger's syndrome, very interesting. Look into it. There's plenty of information online about it. You can go to my blog, actually. If you go to www.betactful.com, I did have a post on my blog regarding Asperger's syndrome and autism. Please feel free to comment on my blog regarding it. And if you are the mother or the parent of an Aspie, I would really love to hear from you. Well, that does it for me. Thank you for tuning in to Be Tactful today. This is Anastasia. And remember to always try to be tactful when you're dealing with other people, because it is not what you say, it is how you say it. Thank you and have a good day.